November 23rd, 2021, regular meeting of the Morrow City Council to order. If you'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible,
for justice for all.
Please be seated. Thank you. Full council has had the minutes of the November 9th regular meeting minutes as well as the regular work session minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to amend the meeting minutes. The regular meeting minutes misstatement didn't describe the motion to amend the motion in the full motion. And on the work section meeting minutes, we had council member attended late. The meeting minutes didn't reflect for that. So I'm calling for the motion to amend that bold element in the meeting minutes.
Do I hear a second for Van's amendment? Hearing none, motion fails. Going back to the original November 9th minutes, and do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion properly made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
Mr. Plough?
Aye.
And Ms. Tran?
Nay, the meeting minutes doesn't missing describe the motion in full, and then the work section missing the misstatement the meeting.
Motion carries. New business, approval of a single source proposal for York Bridge Concepts for an inspection of the bridge in the amount of $17,000 and to authorize the mayor to execute the proposal and other related documents as explained by the city manager in the work session. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Was there a second, or was that just noise?
I know we have a motion made on the floor, but we did have several questions in the work session.
Yes.
Are we clear that we want the questions answered prior to making this motion to agree for the services? Or are we saying that we're going to go ahead and approve this?
That as part of the motion? I mean, there were several questions mostly related to what does the actual inspection include. Yes. It's a bridge company. I have to assume it's a traditional bridge inspection. But if you want to, word it in such a way that that has to be inclusive, certainly could do that as well.
Let's make a motion where we're including some discovery of the actual services that we're saying that we want to make sure we're clear on what the inspection is going to include, because there were some components that did not say it was going to inspect the pilings of the structure. So I guess give us a moment so we can figure out another motion.
Okay. Jeff, I don't know if you took notes on the statements, but you want to paraphrase a motion for us?
Before we do that, I also have a input on this one, because the amount is $17,000. Is it not under the council threshold of approval why are we having that on the agenda for the council to make the decision on this? Is this in the budget?
Jeff had explained that in the work session, but Jeff, go ahead.
No, ma'am. This is not a budgeted expense. That's why it's coming forth to the council. It was an unbudgeted expense, but it needs to be done as we continue to move forward with the properties over at the district.
Okay.
And go back to, I'm sorry.
Can you paraphrase a motion, Jeff, we can all agree to?
If I was going to make a suggestion to paraphrase it, we could approve the single source proposal and have that piece, and then maybe present any additions to that. So I can go ahead and get that underway, because I don't know if they offer that additional underwater service. That may require something past what they do, where may involve somebody having to go down. And again, not being an engineer, I don't know if they have to drill down or anything such as that. So the further pieces that they could do. So you could approve the single source proposal for the amount of $17,000 plus any additional fees for the underwater piece, or you could go with the $17,000 and we research if we need further. If I get the further explanation from them as to the underwater piece, and if they can tell enough about the underwater piece without having to go underwater, physically.
I think our questions were in reverse, honestly, to make sure that we're understanding for $17,000 what exactly are they inspecting. There are some statements in the bridge inspection and the inspection report that they're saying they're not going to do. So we're wanting to, not adding on additional fees, we're wanting to be clear on what the inspection involves for $17,000.
So what they'll get, underneath on the page 4 in YBC, it'll tell you that it'll be a detailed written summary of findings, including bridge condition and component evaluation with associated recommendations for repairs, reduced maintenance, safety, and longevity of service life. So they're going to evaluate, they're going to give you a safety evaluation at the end of this. And that is included right there in the inspection report piece on page 4.
And then on page 5, it says this is a visual inspection and does not include certain things. And then in one of the statements it says it's not does not include inspection of piling, abutments, or X-bracing located underground or underwater.
I mean, and also they excluded the underwater part. I'm not sure that do we need that or not. So I mean, I'd rather defer to the next meeting or whatever are we have to say that we need this to be done now, or can we defer this?
Yeah, I don't think it has to be.
Also, I have an input here.
Where we've got to have it where, this is obviously a GDOT certified bridge. And, when you've got a couple pieces, so, maintenance hasn't been looked at in a while. So we want somebody before we start driving cars back on it to be able to tell us that it's okay.
Well, and also in the agreement, I also see that it say the bridges inspection will be completed by York Bridge president or qualified personnel and will not completed by a licensed structural engineer. York Bridge company structural engineer can add to inspection team at an additional cost. So does that mean by the end of the day the work result won't be we won't be able to have a Georgia licensed engineering stamp on the job result if we don't pay more than $17,000 that listed here?
That's the question.
Wasn't it where you said that company does pay?
Response to that?
I missed the last part of the question. You're asking about the engineers?
Okay.
About the fee?
So in the terms of agreement, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The term 7, saying that the job will be completed by the president or the qualified personnel and will not completed by a licensed structure engineer. Your company's structure engineer can be added to the inspection team at an additional cost. So I want to clarify what does that term mean. That means the job will be done and it will be licensed but it will be certified by the company which based in Florida, not by the Georgia license holder. And if we need the Georgia license holder, do we need to pay more to the cost of $17,000
to certify that?
Well, I think Jeff's got a few questions, and he'll do the best he can to answer those questions at the next council meeting. We'll try to answer them and take it forward. So in the meantime, if there's enough questions, we'll defer. It's not the only bridge the city has. It's not the only one that is went through inspection. And the bridge itself is not that old. But good points, and we'll defer it and see if we can pick it up at the next council meeting. Item number 2, approval of the Public Works recommendations for Powerhouse Pest Control to provide pest control for the city of Morrow. And it's a $1,300 upfront fee and $350 a month, and to authorize the mayor to execute any contracts and other related documents. You've had that before you. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Mr. Mayor, could we open the discussion? It's not open yet.
We had discussions in the regular session. What questions do you have, Ms. Tran?
For the amount of the service, $350 a month with $3,500 plus $4,200 a year plus the $1,300 initial installation. So the items are not at the council approval. It should be at the level of the city manager. Why are we voting for this?
Because it's a contract.
It involves a contract.
And it's also recommended by the Kyle, Public Works Director. So he had a number of different proposals that he solicited, and this was his recommended proposal.
But this should be executed by the city manager due to the amount of the spending is under the city manager discretion. It's not the council level.
Well, technically, it could also be signed by me, but the point being is, several members in the past have asked questions. We're just trying to make it as easy for everyone as possible, as transparent as possible. This is a recommendation by the Public Works Director. We may be redundant. Certainly, the city manager may have the ability to sign it. Let's go ahead and authorize it and get it done. Any other questions? We've got a motion and a properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Dean?
Aye.
Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Quah?
Aye.
Ms. Tran?
A reluctant aye, because the amount is not at the council level. So this case like this, it should be done by the city manager.
Item
and
number
doing
3.
this is just dragging out the time of getting things done.
Item number 3, approval of the police department's recommendation to purchase 2 new police vehicles that were budgeted and approved in FY22, City of Morrow's police budget, and authorize the mayor to execute the contracts or any other related documents. We had the police chief do the explanations in the work session. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Motion properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
Mr. Quao? Mr. Quao?
Aye.
And Ms. Tran?
Aye.
Motion carries. Second reading of an ordinance, 2021-10, to amend the budget for fiscal year 2021. We've already had a first reading actually twice. We had some discussion with the finance officer in the regular work session. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Mayor, could we open to the discussion?
We had a discussion in the work session, but what question do you have, Ms. Tran?
On the amendment, because is Chris here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. So help me to understand this one. On the budget ordinance that the council approved, it say with the exception of contingency line item, the finance director is authorized to approve line item budget transfer within a department's budget. All line transfer the money between funds, and the departments require the authorization of the mayor and city council. So I saw that we have two transfer from general fund to Morrow Center, 50,000 each, on February 18th and June the 10th. Did we have the council approval for that? Who approved that transfer?
The initial budget had budgeted transfers. There's nothing in this agenda item. This ordinance doesn't have any transfers to the Morrow Center.
So this
has court, SPLOST 2020, hotel, motel, and general fund are the only things impacted here. The Morrow Center fund is not being impacted.
The ordinance say all line transfer of money between fund and department require an authorization of the mayor and council. So when we transfer the 100,000 from general fund to Morrow Center, which is the enterprise fund, who approved for that transfer?
That was likely approved when the initial budget was done. Like I mentioned, this budget ordinance right here is not transferring any funds. This is for Morrow Center. This is just the four funds: the general fund, hotel, motel, SPLOST 2020, and the court fund. It does not impact anything related to Morrow Center.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I am looking at the Exhibit A. On Public Works, it say pre-amendment 1.1 million, and the amendment amount is 554,000. What does that mean?
That amended amount, that means we're increasing the Public Works budget by the 544.
Okay. And what does the ordinance say? Is that so that is 500 is the spending beyond what's been approved in the budget. Am I correct?
That is absolutely correct. Yes. And
okay.
One of the things that I mentioned, and one of the things that I mentioned during the work session, is throughout the year, council would approve contracts and purchases that were not part of the initial budget. And this budget amendment is capturing items that have been already authorized or directed to be purchased by council to do various public works projects and get started on some of those repairs and maintenance of the facilities that needed to be caught up on. They were discussed and approved by council, but the budget wasn't amended after the fact. So this is capturing some of those previously approved contracts and purchases to get those in there.
Okay, so I'm looking at legal line items. It's $80,000, and we amend to add another $120,000 more. Does that mean we're spending $120,000 out of the approval on the budget?
Yeah, that would be $80,000 more than what was initially approved in the original budget. That's what that means. Yes.
Okay. No, it's approved for $80,000, and the actual spending is $200,000. So we spend $120,000 is over 100% of what already what approved for. So, council, I have this concern. And we're facing so many risks here. The risk of internal control, which is the concern brought up in the last council meeting about ordinance is the city law, as well as we also have a resolution of spending freeze. All of them are law. And we did not have the execution on that law because the budget policies didn't have a tracking on that, to where when it reached the threshold of $25,000, it needs to go through the council approval. We don't have that execution, and that's part of the concern. And as well as the budget, we're spending more than we agree for, and the concern never been brought to the council, hey, the budget's out. So we are passing this amendment to legalize something that is not supposed to happen at the beginning. So that's my concern that I want to share among with my council members, because this practice won't help us as the council to set the budget and governance the budget, because we are not being noticed at the time we're running out of the budget. The spending already happened before after our approval. The spending is over the budget, and now we are approving for something that already happened. So our job is to set up the budget and to governance the budget. With this practice, it doesn't work. We are not able to perform budget governance.
Thank you, Mr. Tran. Mr. Qua, did you have any comments?
No comment, sir.
All right, I'm going to throw in one. Ms. Tran, you're well aware, especially on the items related to legal, that some of that was related to, actions that you were very well aware of, which required us to have legal counsel, potentially pending legal action against the city itself, of which we settled. And we offered, a certain amount of money, and they agreed to accept a certain amount of money. And every member of the council was well aware of that. And obviously, our attorneys do not work for free, and that would have been, a reasonable line shift. That being stated, motion and properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
Mr. Qua?
No.
Ms. Tran?
Nay, because the practice of this management is not allow the council member to perform the budget governance.
I'm going to approve. Motion carries as stated. general comments. I realize I may not be able to see every member from the audience if they have an opportunity to speak. So let's look at the general audience, and do we have any comments from the citizens?
Comments from citizens?
Do we have any comments from citizens? Hearing none.
We're polling
comments?
to see if we have comments from citizens.
We got visitors.
We do have visitors. Ms. Sparkle Adams and Walking in Authority Teen Council. Yes, ma'am. Take the floor.
Good evening. I'm Sparkle Adams, the Executive Director of Walking in Authority Teen Council, and I quite often bring my teens here because I want them to see how a council should be run, the council meetings. And so we're here in Morrow at the Plaza Building on Adamson Parkway, and these are my teens here, and I just appreciate you all having us here. We're home. Okay.
Well, thank you, Ms. Adams. Glad to have you back.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other comments? Any comments from the city manager?
Welcome to the Walk in Action. I think it's great you guys come out and do this. This is fantastic. If you have any questions, there's a lot of experience sitting in this room on that side over there with all the department heads. So people have been in this business a while. If you have any questions, it's great that you're here, but feel free to come up and grab somebody and ask them a question if you have anything about what just happened tonight.
Thank you.
Excellent. Comments from the city council. Ms. Knight.
I do have a comment and request, and I'll make this to the city manager so that he can discuss this with our finance director. It sounds like possibly a memo on the implications of an unbalanced budget may be necessary for council to understand. By state law, the requirements of a municipality having a balanced budget, that may be something that needs to be circulated amongst the council. Thank you.
Ms. Dean.
I do have a request. Thank you all for being here tonight, Ms. Adams and crew. But I would just like to put it out there for the mayor and council. I think it is time for us to have a retreat. We have not had a retreat for this council. So I think it is time for us to have a retreat so that some things can be shared and understood. That's it for me.
Ms. Tran.
I agree with Ms. Dorothy on the retreat for the council. So we would be on the same page. And this week is the week that Thanksgiving is coming. I just wish everybody happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Mr. Qua.
I have nothing, just wish everybody happy Thanksgiving.
I agree. I'm in the cold state of North Dakota right now, and it's a whopping 16 degrees, so you guys look a lot warmer than I am. And I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. And remember, the tree lighting ceremony is going to be in early December, so you'll definitely want to put that on your calendar. And we do appreciate everyone from coming, and the meeting is adjourned. I think most of our work session items were actually handled. We've got some other things we'll pick up later when we come back after the holidays. So we thank you all, and you all have a good night. Bye.